Okay, first of all, thank you very much for hosting us. It's a big pleasure and a big honor for us to come here to Hong Kong and to present some of our reports of our findings and, of course, our schools and centers. Before I jump into my topic, I will just say a few words about the school and about our centers for ones who don't know. We brought some books about our school, but unfortunately we couldn't bring them for all of us, for all of you. That is why I say a few words. Skolkovo is quite a new school. It's very young. It was established in 2006 by 11 prominent Russian entrepreneurs and companies. So it has its roots in entrepreneurship. But it's been 8 years of success already. We have more than 600 alumni of our graduate programs. We have MBA, executive MBA. They're very successful in Russia. We taught more than 10,000 corporate students, representatives of biggest Russian and international companies. We have 80 client companies. It's again biggest Russian companies, and we also have programs for small and medium business. And we have several research centers. We have more than 70 research papers. And we here represent Institute for Emerging Market Studies, the same sister organization of UST IEMS. And we also have two representatives from Wealth Transformation Center. Skolkovo School is governed by International Advisory Board. It's a Russian school. It's focused on Russia, but the school is governed by International Advisory Board. The chairman of the board is Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev. And we also have some very prominent international experts like Lee Kuan Yew, is mentor minister of Singapore, or Ajay Banga, who is the president and chief executive officer of MasterCard Worldwide. This international advisory board gives strategic vision and strategic leadership to the school. And a little bit about Skolkovo Institute for Emerging Market Studies. It was originally based in Beijing. Recently it moved to Moscow. And we have 4 pillars in our agenda. The first one is regional studies. Of course, we do a lot of studies in Russia, in Asia, and we have a very, very strong focus in Northeast Asia, particularly China and Southeast Asia as well. We have entrepreneurship studies, because the school was built to bring entrepreneurial mindset and entrepreneurial culture to Russia. And we study successes and lessons from top-performing Russian companies who succeeded and who became successful in Russia and globally. And tomorrow I will have a report on that, which was recently featured in the World Economic Forum in Davos. We established a sustainability lab. It was established only December last year, and sustainability is quite a new concept in Russia. And building a sustainable model is pretty new. And we are going to foster educational research and communication agenda in this team in Russia. And we also have a stream on digital and innovation, and my colleague Vladimir is representing this stream, and he will be having 2 reports tomorrow. I will speak on business education for the future. It's a new report and a new topic in our agenda, because Skolkovo is a forward-looking organization. We are building the school which is going to be competitive tomorrow. We are not working only today, but we are also trying to look for the future, to see what trends are shaping the future of business education and how the industry will look tomorrow and how the school will adapt its offering and its model for tomorrow. And basically 3 major questions we are going to answer. So as I said, how the global trend shapes the future, how business schools of today can adapt to those challenges, and the most important question is what role business school will play in society tomorrow. Because the world is changing very, very fast. Everyone is saying that the change is so rapid that companies, individuals, business schools, they basically sometimes cannot accommodate the change. And when we think about how do we look at the change, first we look at the past. So we look how business education was evolving. And the industry is quite old. It emerged in the beginning of 20th century, on the border of 2 centuries, originally in the US. And the history of business education is the history of fighting with challenge and responding to challenge. And the first challenge, why the business schools emerged, is developing professional managers. Private companies, they started to emerge. The number of firms were growing predominantly in the US. And originally, business schools appeared like a professional schools, like medical school or law school, which were preparing corporate managers to run business efficiently. With time, the model changed a little bit. The new challenge came. And the exponential growth of number of business school, of students, of applicants appeared. And US model became a role model for all over the world. As the school said, we are not producing managers anymore. We are producing executives. Executives who will be able to manage complex situations and execute right decisions. Management became science. Business schools started to focus on research a lot. They were still connected to universities in many regions of the world, and local champions emerged in Europe, mostly copying US model. And this time, somewhere in the 90s and 2000, the criticism came. And business schools were blamed for economic crisis, for producing leaders who are not responsible, who are not making change. And the concept changed again. The school said, we are not producing executives anymore, we are producing leaders. We are producing global leaders who are able to respond to a challenge of globalization, who can make the change, and European and Asian model of the business school arise. They are not connected to universities very often, especially in Europe. They focused on executive education. 1-year programs, model programs appeared. Executive MBA model was booming. And the question now, what is next? So what will be the next model for business school, for MBA program, for executive education, and what are characteristics of the world of tomorrow? And we use the word VUCA, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. It came from military, and it characterizes the world which we are living in today. So I will, in our research and in our discussions that we have now in Skolkovo and with some other partner institutions, we put more questions than answers. And even today's discussion, I would like to see more like a conversation about the future, because nobody knows what will happen. How do we see? How do we look at challenges that business school is facing? So first of all, we use the model of the business school. We look at business school as an organization, as like on any company, which has certain assets like faculty, campus, technologies, intellectual capital. It has program portfolio. It has admission criteria. Also, it has external forces that are shaping its context. And we have a set of different stakeholders. For example, governance, we have industry standards, we have funding. And at the end of the day, what business school is delivering is development value. And development value for 3 basic stakeholders. It's society, it's companies, and individuals. And there's a lot of values. So because business school is not only bringing knowledge, it's not like transmitter of knowledge. It's a place where people develop their skills. It provides unique life experience for participants of its programs. It's a place where academia and business meets. It's a place where business can find best talents. People make connections. It provides solutions to companies. And of course, it creates knowledge. It creates knowledge in management, in business, and it helps society and business to progress. So the question is, how are core factors of value proposition challenged? Because, as I said, the world is changing very fast, and how the ability of the school to deliver this value is challenged tomorrow. That's our key question. Just an example. A lot of people, a lot of reports, a lot of researchers speak about massive online open courses today. That it's a big disruptor, and it changes the model of the business school. And if you look at, for example, educational offering, it can be either formal or non-formal. Formal, I mean, it has system, it has accreditation system, it has rankings, etc. And non-formal, for example, it's professional trainings. It's more like training centers. They're not built in the system. At the same time, you have monetized solutions, because business school is always a commercial entity, and non-monetized. And we have a lot of disruptions today. For example, massive online open courses like edX and Coursera, they're for free. Anyone can learn anything, anywhere, at any time. And even you have non-formal solutions, like Wikipedia. Anyone can come there to read anything, You can go to Khan Academy, which is of course focused more on school education, primary education, or even iTunes University. You can download podcasts, you can study anything, you don't need to go to business school. And even the logic of learning paths has changed today. If originally individual came to the system, primary education, secondary education, college, business school, tomorrow it can change drastically. So the individual has a choice to go either there, and there, and even avoid business school. And of course, business schools, they have to respond to the challenge. They have to go to all these segments to capture that value, to capture that individuals and that students who are basically coming to that segments. So what we did in our research, we studied each piece and each part of the business school value, which is bringing in a kind of this way to understand what are the signals of the future, what is happening, and what does it mean for a business school. For example, if you look at the function of the school as a knowledge transmitter, as a place where people come and receive knowledge, I mean only knowledge frameworks, for example, knowledge of different disciplines, marketing, strategy, etc. This function is challenged the most. Yes, we have more than 35 million, for example, articles in Wikipedia. In Wharton, one online course gathers as much as 150,000 people enrolled for one course. Of course, not all of them finish. And 6 million people are already studying online. And of course, leading universities start to enter in different way. Yes, some universities start their own platforms like Coursera and edX. Some universities introduce blended learning. For example, IE is famous for its blended solutions. They have even blended masters. Open University is the oldest open university, online universities in UK. And there are even some exotic solutions like IBM and M. Leon Business School. They started a kind of digital business school. They apply IBM digital solutions for the learning process, for knowledge management. And so there are many, many responses. And the problem is here why we don't think it's a big disruptor in the business education. Because if you look at the so-called learning pyramid, the zone which is impacted by massive online courses is on the very, very top. Because you listen to the lecture, you read some materials, and you look at professor. And it gives only 20% of the knowledge. A little bit different. It provides maybe 100%, but the knowledge retention is very, very low when a student listens to online courses. But we are sure that each school and each program has to decide today how much it wants and needs to be online. When we speak about leadership skills, because students come to business school not only because of the knowledge. In many cases, they are already experienced professionals. They have experience in their industries. They basically know everything. They come to develop their skills. They come to become leaders. And what we've seen in evolution in the history, it's evolution from leadership skills, from soft skills to leadership skills, and now we call it VUCA world skills. It's not enough anymore to become a good presenter, to become a good networker, to have soft skills. You need to have a special set of skills to be successful tomorrow. Change is so fast that you have to manage change. You have to be able to prototype rapidly, to lead across generations, because many generations meet today in modern workforce. The workforce is very complex. It's multicultural, people of different age. And we think that this function is not challenged at all. It changed a little bit, but there needs to be an integrator. An integrator is a place where people meet, where they develop their skills, and where they can progress personally. It's unique life experience, and interesting statistics we found. That today, if you look at executive MBA ranking, Financial Times, among top 10 programs, 8 of them are either dual degree programs, including HKUST and CALAC program, or the program which is run in different parts of the world. People are looking for unparalleled experience. They are not looking only for knowledge and only for skills. They are looking for a holistic experience, with what we say. And this is what cannot be substituted easily by any online solution or any other solutions. And even new models emerge, like this Emerging World is the company which provides leadership trainings in emerging countries. They are not teaching strategy or marketing or, I would say, conventional leadership studies. They gather a team of executives sent to emerging world, and they are trying to solve emerging world problems. So I can speak for ages for many of these functions. Interesting one is career transition, because historically business education, especially MBA program, it's a talent factory. It's a place where talented people, they are filtered, they come to a business school, they pass through very strict filter, and companies come and they find the best talent for their operations, for themselves. And this is also challenging from two sides. First of all, the global economy stopped growing. Recently McKinsey published a report when in last 50 years the average growth of the world economy was about 4%. In the next 50 years it will be only 2%. And it's globally. What does it mean? It means that business will not need so many managers anymore. When the business is growing, when the markets are emerging, when companies are expanding their reach to different new markets in new countries, they can come to a business school and hire more and more and more students. But it will change tomorrow. And of course, automation and robotization, it also comes not only to low-skill labor, but also to white-collar jobs. And more people, they are substituted by robots and by artificial intelligence. It's the first side. The second side is that return on investments in business education, they are falling. Salaries, if you look at salaries, they are roughly the same from year to year. Maybe in some of top schools they are increasing, and tuition fees, they are rising, they are growing. And the question is when they will meet. And also entrepreneurship is on the rise. When you look at curriculum, we looked at curriculum of major business schools from the top 20 and from top 20 programs, and we saw that entrepreneurship is a core subject in most of them. And we have even extreme examples like Thiel Fellowship. It's the founder of PayPal. He's offering scholarships to students who will not go to the college. He says that he will give $100,000 to promising entrepreneurs to prevent them to go to college and to start their own business. For example, Skolkovo started Startup Academy. We have not only MBA program, we have a kind of startup accelerator when young people can come with their ideas, can learn, and to start their own business. StartX and Harvard Innovation Labs, example from Stanford, of course, and Harvard, and Lawrence Institute of Business. It's an institute founded by former president of IMD Business School, and his vision that we don't need full-time MBA programs anymore. So we think that business education risks to become a commodity and don't differentiate its holders. So we can speak about each of these functions. So what I would like to focus at. So here are all functions that we looked. It's a knowledge transmitter, leadership skill developer, it's a memorable life experience, career transition. It's somewhat ticket to elite. It's a networking hub, problem solver, and knowledge creator. And we think that only two functions of the business school, only two values are challenged the most. It's a function of knowledge transmission and career transition. And the functions and the values that will not be challenged is knowledge creation. Business school will be the place where management thought is born, which moves the thought forward, which develops people in terms of soft skills, leadership skills, skills for the new world, and which provides memorable life experience. So what we think business school have to focus at. These functions that they will fade away, I think, because they are disrupted. There are a lot of solutions, and business school can even outsource some of them. Can create online models, for example, online study models, and even outsource to other, maybe business school or other providers. And these are functions where business school has to stress its efforts. It has to develop its own intellectual capital. It has to become a respected center of expertise in a specific region, a specific industry, to become respected in society, to become respected by business and by individuals. So, 2 questions business school has to answer. What we were just talking about is disruption. So, is the school able to adapt to disruptive drivers of change and to innovate? And the history shows that business schools are able to do it. It is not that difficult. But the second question is, we think, more important. What we came to it only during our research. That is the school relevant to the challenge and the requests of business, society, and broader humanity? So does it make sense to come to a business school, and does it make sense to study there? And when we look at the future of business education industry, we try to plot different scenarios based on that 2 questions. For example, the scenario which we don't think will happen, but which might happen, that if business schools, they are late to capture technological change, and they are late to capture trends and disruption, and they are not relevant. Of course, the collapse of the current system will occur, and the school will gradually be substituted by other solutions. The second scenario is, we call it commoditization, when content becomes commodity, which is happening already, and exactly like it happened with primary education. Originally it was for elite. Not everyone could go to school, but now it's a kind of commodity. You have some very bright schools, but in general, it is a commodity. Stronger schools will become stronger, weaker will become weaker, and the solution is differentiation. So what we can see, that schools will focus on specific industries, specific skills, specific subjects. If the school is relevant and not adequate to technical change, to challenges of to modern challenges, then the school will just to reposition itself, as I said, outsource some of its values, functions, and will become just ideological leader of the business. And maybe preferred future, or the future which we would like to foresee and to live in, is a transformation. When the school both is relevant to the challenge and adequate to disruptive drivers of change. And what is interesting, that each of this is possible. And of course, what we'll see is somewhere in between. There's a lot of models exist in each scenario. For example, if massive online open courses will become university for the billion, the schools can split on content developers and content integrators. And of course, only top schools will stay. Like in App Store, maybe 10 to 20 schools will provide 80% of content. The school can become a think tank, it can become a talent incubator, training center, it can become a corporate university, which is a big trend now, building stronger links with industry. It can become even a personal development school. It will not teach business anymore. Or it can become a platform, an educational incubator, like App Store or Google Play, like a place where anyone can come and sell its business education solutions. Or it can become a startup accelerator. So there are different models and forms. And what I want to say is that each of them exists in the future. Each of them and in each scenario. The question is a challenge. There's a lot of discussions about global challenges today. And challenges can be global, regional, and local. And we think that local challenges, sometimes they are more important than global ones. Because Russian-specific challenges, they're quite different from Chinese ones, from Hong Kong ones, from Indian ones. And the question for business school is to find the challenge, to study the challenge, identify it, to develop intellectual capital, and to respond to it. So, what we are going to do next? We have several questions to answer. So first is, what future do we aspire? So there are a lot of scenarios. What do we want? As an industry, as business school industry, or as Skolkovo Business School or HKUST Business School? What will be our role in this future, and how do we make it happen? It will be our next step on this project. We are going to gather several events to run a strategic foresight for business schools, and finally, not even to find the answers, but to start discussion around these topics. Thank you very much. I hope it was interesting, and happy to discuss it after my colleague will have a presentation. Thank you.